You step off a bus, walk into the police station, and say, "I've been missing 12 years. But to me, just 2 weeks. Content warning. This story references mental health struggles, missing persons, and trauma. Viewer discretion advised." Imagine you're sitting in the drab waiting area of the Rock Valley Police Department, upstate New York. It's October 3rd, 2018. Outside, the sun is falling fast. Gold fading to blue, the edges of autumn sharp in the air. The town is small enough that every passing car outside the police station echoes as if it matters. You're there because it's the only place with decent Wi-Fi on Main Street, and you can hear the officers making coffee behind the security glass. It should be a typical, uneventful evening, but tonight, everything will change. At 6:19 p.m., every single phone in the building rings. That never happens. Sergeant Destiny Ford is at the desk, a woman with a kind face and tired eyes, used to fake IDs and noise complaints. Not the unimaginable. A woman has walked in off the street, wild auburn hair, clothing oddly out of date. Her hands are cracked, her knuckles wrapped in the raw memory of winter. She looks about 30, though it's hard to tell through the exhaustion in her eyes. Some part of her, posture, gaze, the neatness with which she says her name, carries a strange gravity. She whispers her name and that she thinks she has been missing. She gives her date of birth, June 12th, 1990, lists her parents, Carolyn and Robert Caldwell, and says she used to live at 22 Pine Hollow Lane. She pauses, as if uncertain time itself has shifted. Destiny types the info into the department database, expecting a blank, maybe a long, cold warrant. Instead, an alert flashes red, loud, and urgent. Lisa Caldwell, reported missing 2006. Cold case. The computer blares 3 times. Destiny's throat goes dry. The black and white missing poster shows Lisa as a glowing 16-year-old, the Mona Lisa softness and a hopeful smile. 4 officers hover at the edges of the lobby, unsure if it's real. Destiny gently hands Lisa a bottle of water, her own hands shaking as she ushers her into the small interview room. Just 4 walls painted in what someone decades ago must have thought was calming cream. She asks basic questions. Can Lisa tell her where she has been? There's a silence that stretches. Lisa's voice wavers but is clear. She doesn't know, and to her, it's only been 2 weeks. She just wants to go home. Destiny does not dare call Lisa's parents herself. She can't bring herself to believe it without an officer present. Instead, she rings Detective Joaquin Marquez, the last man in the county to take the Caldwell case seriously. He's at home, feet up, half watching a baseball game when his cell rings. The voice on the other line tells him he needs to come in. Now. Within 40 minutes, the tiny station is both alive with impossible hope and crawling with the electricity of a miracle, or perhaps a delusion. The next hour is a blur. Lisa's mother, Carolyn, sprints through the doors before midnight, her body almost collapsing as she takes in the sight of her daughter. Alive, older, yet achingly recognizable. Robert, her father, hardened from years of silence, follows a step behind, emotion caught halfway between joy and terror. For a long moment, no one speaks. Carolyn's hands hover trembling just above Lisa's cheeks. Afraid touch will break the spell. Lisa smells like rain and winter coats pulled from mothballs. Her skin is pale, marbled with scratches half faded. Her voice, thin but unbroken, tells her mother it's her, she's home. Carolyn weeps the way only someone who has prayed for this night and never truly believed can weep. Robert, stone-faced, can only manage, "My God." Soft sounds, someone stifling a sob, the clatter of a coffee mug, distant traffic. The department's on-call nurse runs vitals. Lisa's pulse is steady, if high. Her feet are blistered, the calluses of someone who's walked far, or perhaps run. But there's no evidence of recent trauma, or that anything has been done to her since she vanished 12 years ago. Lisa's bag is inspected. Inside is an ancient Nokia cell phone, a relic, battery dead. There's a set of house keys, worn with use, but missing a decade of grime. A laminated library card expired in 2007, an envelope blank except for a single smudge of lavender oil. Inside, Lisa sits in the narrow interrogation chair, fluorescent light humming. The strangeness runs in waves. It's as if she's 16, pedaling her bike through a shortcut in familiar woods, thinking only about her driver's test, her mom's lasagna, the way music choice on cable just changed her world for the better. Then there's darkness, broken glass, the jangle of wind, a hand not quite touching her shoulder. Rain falls in a way it never has before. The next thing, this. Police forms, white walls, her mother, aged by grief, a world that moved without her. The heartbeat slows, the click of a clock on the wall. Doors open and close. The first medical examination confirms what seems impossible. She is Lisa Caldwell. Her fingerprints match child records, dental records, even the small scar under her left eye from a fall at age 9, all identical. Medical staff find no major injuries, no malnutrition, no drugs tracing. Blood work is clean. There's even a faint tan line on her left wrist from a friendship bracelet, a style never made it past 2007. But Lisa cannot account for the time. She insists, with terrified clarity, that her last memory before waking up a week ago was her final day in the world she knew, August 18th, 2006. In August 2006, Lisa is 16. She's at the kitchen table burning CDs for Jess, humming to the radio. Carolyn asks her to help bring in the laundry before the summer storm. Robert rushes through the door, wet boots leaving trails on the tile. Dinner is roast chicken, family TV, laughter, talk about weekend chores. She teases her dad for not knowing how to text. At 8:17 p.m., she grabs her backpack, helmet, and says she's biking over to Jess's for homework and a late-night movie. She promises she'll be back by 11. Nobody worries, nobody suspects. When midnight comes and Lisa isn't home, Carolyn texts, calls Jess. Jess, confused, says Lisa never showed up. Search parties form by dawn, combing fields, ditches, every forgotten backyard. Her bike is found a day later, propped, inexplicably, at a trailhead off the main road, the kind of place Lisa always avoided after nightfall. Days blend into weeks. Radio interviews, candlelight vigils, flyers on every telephone pole around Rock Valley. By month's end, the search is called off for lack of new evidence. Her case is quietly moved to the cold files. The black and white flyer sits on the post office wall. The ink runs under the morning rain. Carolyn keeps baking Lisa's favorite cake for birthdays, yellow, with cream cheese frosting. She and Robert nearly divorce, volleying blame and guilt until they collapse in exhaustion. Jess lights a green candle in her window every night, a ritual of teenage hope. The Caldwell house, once filled with music and jokes, sinks into muted grief. Years pass. Every stranger's face triggers a moment of hope. Every news story, runaways, Jane Does, reopens Carolyn's wounds. The world outside changes. Smartphones, presidents, television shows come and go. The little town of Rock Valley circles around their loss. The Caldwell tragedy becomes both a warning and a myth among local kids. There is gentle rain, the buzz of 2010's morning TV news, a phone ringing with an out-of-date ringtone. Sporadic tips claim Lisa was seen at a bus terminal in Ohio, a Greyhound station in Minnesota, a blurry woman playing slots in Reno. None checks out. No fingerprints, no surveillance match, no credit card activity. After 6 years, 2012, the police officially list her as presumed deceased. But the Caldwells never accepted. Carolyn writes annual letters to the Missing Persons Registry. Jess becomes an advocate, pressing police to retry DNA matches. And then, October 3rd, 2018, the one-in-a-million moment when Lisa Caldwell walks in from the rain and asks to go home. That first night back, Lisa is in her childhood bedroom. Walls unchanged, posters curling at the edges. She sits in the pre-dawn dark. Everything is both familiar and alien. The font on her high school varsity certificate, the lint-stuffed animal she'd won at a town carnival, faded Polaroid strips stuck in an old frame. Her mother sits across from her, as if afraid to blink. She quietly asks Lisa, "Where were you?" Lisa shakes her head and with a strained voice says it was a forest. She is sure there was rain. Sometimes she thinks there was an old lady maybe. Her voice sounded like records with a crackle. But it's all pieces. She only existed for 2 weeks, and the rest is just blank. No dreams, no colors. Lisa looks at her hands, palms marked by faded calluses, and hesitantly asks if her mother tried to find her. Her mother cries, quietly, and Lisa reaches for her, uncertain, like their rituals have lost meaning after all this time. Photographs fade, time spools and overlaps, a police file timestamp shifting from 2006 to 2018. Within 24 hours, the story explodes. Local news channel vans stake out the Caldwell lawn, reporters holding umbrellas, faces lit blue by the glow of rolling cameras. Fairfield County News runs an exclusive. Miracle return, Lisa Caldwell, missing since 2006, speaks out. School friends, now grown and scattered, message Jess. They wonder if it could really be her, if she ran away, if this is even possible. On the edge of this new chaos sits Detective Marquez, who quietly resumes the investigation. He manages new interviews. Lisa, Carolyn, Robert, Jess. He begins mapping time, memory, and geography, trying to find which line has broken and rewritten itself. In Lisa's first interview with Detective Marquez, the fluorescent lights buzz, one-way glass glows with the threat of a world watching, even if no one is there. Marquez, weathered by years of disappointment and community heartbreak, asks Lisa about any memories, sights, sounds, or feelings from her time gone. Lisa, pressing fingers to her temples, mentions the pine trees everywhere, glass fogging from rain, the light seeming old, maybe lamplight. There was a woman with an accent she cannot place, telling her she shouldn't be there yet. She says she was never afraid, just tired. She sometimes thought she could hear her mother calling, but it was distant, like underwater. Then nothing, until she woke up at a bus stop. He asks if she tried to leave. Lisa looks up, eyes wet, and says she never knew she was gone, until she wasn't anymore. After everyone else has gone to bed, Marquez re-examines Lisa's belongings. Across the old Nokia, the expunged call log sits empty, but the phone contains 3 photos, dated only September 2018. A blurry image of tree bark slick with rain, a window streaked with condensation, the world beyond lost in fog. A close-up of a red scarf, hung from a nail, the edges stitched in old wool. Beneath the envelope with lavender oil, there are faint handwritten words, almost invisible under ultraviolet light. Rest now. When the world needs you, you'll wake. Marquez shivers, unsure if he's chasing an abductor, a ghost, or the haunted footprints of trauma itself. Detective Marquez dives into the reopened investigation with renewed determination. He examines bus station security footage, scouring for any appearance of Lisa before her return. Yet, nothing surfaces. No tapes show her presence before she walked into the police station. The mystery deepens. He organizes thorough searches of abandoned woodland cabins within a 60-mile radius, each cabin a relic from family vacations long past. Yet they are undisturbed, bearing no sign of recent habitation, no footprints in dust, no fresh ashes in worn fireplaces. Lisa's memory of the mysterious woman, Agnes or Anka, yields no results in any missing persons database. The name feels like an echo in an empty hall. Forensic analysis of the soil from Lisa's shoes takes the confusion further. Pine pollen found is native not to upstate New York, but the Adirondacks nearly 100 miles east of Rock Valley. Her ancient Nokia phone, though its battery is dead, surrenders 3 recent photos during careful analysis. One of tree bark, another of a rain-streaked window, the last a blurred figure in a red scarf. Detectives debate their theories. Was Lisa isolated, kept somewhere hidden away from all contact? Was her mind trapped in some place neither medical science nor standard investigation can reach? Marquez bears the burden of unanswered questions. He reopens archives, contacts allied agencies, and rereads cold tips with fresh eyes. An anonymous tip arrives. In a Vermont diner off Interstate 89, years prior, someone had seen a woman who resembled Lisa. The tipster's memory is uncertain, but Marquez pursues every possibility. He manages to retrieve security video from the diner. It reveals, but only fleetingly, a woman with auburn hair and Lisa's build. Yet her face is blurred, indistinct as memory itself. No further leads come from the tip. The trail again grows cold. Meanwhile, the internet is ablaze. Conspiracy theories take on a life of their own. Some believe Lisa was part of a government mind control program. Others insist on time displacement or even parallel realities. Lisa receives unsettling messages online, some from people convinced they know the truth, others seething with accusation. She experiences a panic episode in a grocery store, the scent of crushed lavender sending her spiraling. An elderly woman offers comfort, but Lisa mutters that someone is coming and she must leave. Marquez logs the incident, yet notes it likely stems from trauma. At a community hall, Lisa speaks gently about her ordeal and advocates for missing persons and trauma survivors. Her voice is steady, but it carries the ache of everything lost. Let's pause to reflect on the real-world investigations and the medical mysteries they present. Time gap amnesia, the kind Lisa experiences, is rare but not unheard of. Experts recall cases like that of Hannah Up, who vanished into fugue states for days, but never for years at a stretch. False memory syndrome is considered yet ultimately rejected, Lisa's recollections being too consistent and supported by physical evidence. A planned disappearance seems unlikely, her phone's SIM card bearing witness to over a decade of silence. Her therapist, Dr. Green, states, "I have never seen a case where the physical and psychological evidence matches up so closely and the cause remains so inexplicable." The town is torn, caught between skepticism and hope, as it tries to make sense of what seems impossible. A birthday dinner brings Lisa and her family together for the first time in years. The room buzzes with cautious optimism and barely concealed anxiety. Lisa tries to help clear the plates but is suddenly overcome. A wave of sorrow breaks over her, and she sobs quietly in her mother's arms, confessing that she feels she's no longer herself after losing so much time. Carolyn hugs her tightly, grounding her in the simple, solid love she's held onto for 12 years. Detective Marquez re-examines the forensic soil evidence from Lisa's shoes. He notices an unusual trace, smectite clay, unlikely for the Adirondacks, but found in old Cold War bunkers. He wonders if Lisa was kept in one of these hidden shelters, but all searches end up fruitless. Halloween night, 2019 arrives, the town's harvest festival in bloom. Lisa attends with Jess, her childhood best friend, hoping for normalcy. Suddenly, a petite, elderly woman in a tweed coat approaches, murmuring a warning that chills Lisa to her core. Lisa panics, insisting to Jess that she saw Agnes, or Anka, the woman haunting her fragmented memories. When they return to the spot, the only trace remaining is a lavender sachet, its scent filling the crisp night air. Lisa's recollections are fractured, lying in a dark room, the woman's soothing presence, rain falling steadily, the sound of distant applause, and a word spoken softly, again. Investigators search for witnesses, but no one saw the mystery woman. Security footage uncovers only shifting shadows. In the weeks that follow, Lisa's world contracts. She avoids crowds, finds solace in routines, morning tea, evening walks with Jess, volunteering quietly at the community center. Despite the care and familiar faces around her, the shadow of uncertainty lingers, relentless in its persistence. Her parents rebuild the rhythms of family life with caution. Dinners are sometimes joyful, sometimes quiet with a grief that refuses to fully dissipate. Jess visits often, sometimes sharing stories about years Lisa missed, sometimes just to sit in the comforting silence of shared presence. Detective Marquez files his final report before retirement. The official notes mark the case as open, unresolved. He acknowledges that every avenue, physical evidence, witness accounts, psychological assessment, and forensic detail has been explored, and yet a core mystery remains. Lisa Caldwell's experience becomes a kind of legend in Rock Valley, whispered about in coffee shops and online forums. Lisa sometimes stands at her bedroom window late at night, watching the flicker of the green candle Jess still keeps burning. She wonders whether Agnes or Anka truly existed, whether her mind fabricated a guide in the darkness, or if others too might return from beyond time's familiar path. 5 years pass. No other missing persons return under similar circumstances. Lisa adapts, learning to live with survivor's guilt and the ache of memory's absence. At the community center, she speaks to groups of families and survivors, her words gentle and sincere, her presence a quiet testament to survival against all odds. The Caldwell home slowly reclaims warmth. Carolyn bakes, Robert gardens. Lisa fills a new scrapbook with letters from those who heard her story and found hope. Yet on quiet nights, a question surfaces like an old scar. What truly happened in those missing years? The story changes those who hear it. Jess, now a counselor, finds herself more attuned to the subtle, unspoken pains in others. Detective Marquez, in retirement, still passes by the police station some mornings, pausing at the window, lost in thought. Rock Valley, forever marked by the strange return of Lisa Caldwell, comes to inhabit a moral gray area. Was her disappearance a cruel twist of fate, a mystery of the mind, or something the world is simply not yet ready to explain? Lisa herself offers no easy answers. In moments of reflection, she asks her listeners not to sensationalize, but to remember that every missing person is more than a mystery. They are loved, missed, and profoundly human. Sometimes, after sharing her story, she quietly invites her audience to join in a moment of silence. For those still lost, for families still waiting, and for the gaps in time that never quite close. If you or someone you care about has experienced the unexplained loss of a loved one, know that you are not alone. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments with kindness. For support regarding missing persons, contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. Lisa's journey poses a final question to everyone. Do you believe the world's strangest gaps and silences are simply accidents, or could some mysteries resist reason entirely?